Hey folks, with us today, Dan, the founder of PeopleReign. Super happy to have you on, Dan.
Nicholas, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. You're a true veteran in the tech scene. So I would love, before we get into anything, I would love for you to give us a rundown of your career in tech.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been around Silicon Valley for the last 25 years. I've started or helped start 7 companies, all in the space of applying AI and machine learning to improving the employee experience. And so I guess the bad news there is that I'm kind of broken for being able to do anything else with my life, but it is a lifetime passion, and very proud of the work that my team is doing at PeopleReign. We are out to impact 1 billion employees' lives at work, and we're going to get there. We're not quite there yet. On the side, I host a podcast called AI and the Future of Work. We recently published our 285th episode and welcomed our 1,000th listener to the community. So very, very proud of all the conversations we've been able to publish. Nicholas, I mentioned you should also be proud. This show is also off to a great start. But I always feel like every week I learn from the amazing thought leaders, academics, technologists, CXOs that come and visit AI in the future of work and educate me. And I think hopefully that provides a good service to the community. We talk a lot about the ethics of AI and about what it means to practice AI responsibly. I've also invested in about 30 AI first companies. So I have conviction around what it takes to invest in great people, great founders, great visions. And I'm really excited as an enterprise AI community about the kinds of things that we're able to do today that, say, 25 years ago when I got started, my first company was called AeroPrize in the 90s. Gosh, we didn't even know to dream. We couldn't dream as big as the kinds of technology and the kinds of value that we're able to deliver today. So it's been a great journey, and thrilled to be here with you and your community.
I would love to ask one specific thing, because I mean the CV is more than impressive. You have tons of experience, but is there any aspect of basically living through such a huge amount of just like change that you had to think of or keep in mind so that you're able to adapt? Because I would bet building a companies in the 90s is way different, I would guess, compared to building one in 2024.
There are a few things that transcend time in terms of the entrepreneurial journey. One is something I tell my team frequently. Our only currency is customer value. So whether it was the 90s or it could have been the 1890s, the idea that entrepreneurs exist and are in business to deliver customer value, to delight customers, to deliver a product that achieves the mission and the vision of the founder, but the business should always measure itself in terms of how much value it's creating. So that's one thing that transcends the ups and downs of the stock market, or the wild gyrations of the venture industry, or even new technologies. We talk about major platform shifts like mainframe to client server, and desktop to web, and on-prem to cloud, and desktop to mobile, and now legacy to AI. These are all cataclysmic platform shifts. But as entrepreneurs, as long as we always think about what it is that matters most to the end customer, we tend to make the right decisions. And the calculations may change, the inputs, the outputs, how much we need to raise to grow a business, and how long it takes to bring a product to market, and what the right features are. But that one thing never changes.
I think it makes a ton of sense. So basically sticking to the principles that don't change compared to freaking out about the changes themselves.
Yeah, freaking out's an appropriate term.
If you need to hire the right developers and ship fast, then React Squad is for you. A boutique agency that specializes in React and only works with fast growth startups. Visit reactsquad.io to learn more.
I would love to tie the providing value to customers to PeopleReign. Like, What are you building exactly? Who is it for? What's the value you provide?
Yeah, Nicholas, every employee gets up in the morning every day, and as they're thinking about what's on their calendar for that day, there's some activities that they have to do that they love doing because it brings out the best in them. The reason they got the degree, the reason they worked hard to get the job, the reason their career has progressed to let them be able to do that thing that they love doing. And then, unfortunately, there's always that set of stuff on your calendar that you're not that excited about doing. The stuff that just kind of creates friction. You look at and you want to just put a red X through it and say, oh, I wish I didn't have to do that today. Well, if you were able to kind of wave a magic wand and extract all of the stuff that you don't derive energy from, the compliance issues, the filling out the forms, the checking the balance of your PTO, and the trying to get your laptop fixed or get access to Zoom, these things that just kind of sap your energy. If there was a world of work in which all that stuff went away, then I believe that what would be left is just the stuff that makes us the best versions of humans at work. What PeopleReign is building is a future of work that uses the principles of AI and machine learning to extract away all the friction, to give you that capability, that superpower, to eliminate from your calendar all the things that you hate doing, and to really emphasize and leave in that white space or that blank space where the friction gets extracted, all the stuff that you love and that makes you the best version of human. So when we talk about using technology to improve the lives of employees at work, that's what we mean. And when we say we love technology, technology is amazing, but people reign. That's what we mean, is that people reign when they are able to bring the best versions of themselves to work. That's truly what I believe is the future of work, and that's why we're building this company.
And as for the end user, let's assume you have an enterprise client, there's an employee on their desk. How do they interface specifically with PeopleReign? Do they have direct contact on the product? Is it on the HR side? Walk us through an example.
Yeah. So let's say you're in, marketing at McDonald's Corporation, and in the morning you are traveling, and maybe you can't get into the building that you're scheduled to have your meetings in. It's kind of frustrating. In the old world, before PeopleReign, you would have to call the help desk or talk to facilities, or you're locked out and it's freezing cold and it's snowing, and you're thinking, this is not a great way to start my day. With PeopleReign, works completely differently. Instead of having to submit a ticket, submit a request that requires some live agent, some human to intervene and update your access card or do the thing that gets you in the building. Well, now you just call PeopleReign, and PeopleReign is your autonomous virtual agent that knows who you are. It knows where you're traveling today. It knows what building you're going to meeting because it's on your calendar. It knows once you enter the building where are your meetings and how to get you on the Wi-Fi network and how to make sure you've got meetings that are the meeting rooms that are the right size for the number of attendees for the meeting. And it knows at the end of the day that you need a shuttle to get back to the airport. It's that idea of the personal digital concierge that automatically gets to know you and is available via voice, via chat, via Teams, Slack, SMS. And it's the idea that every employee, from marketing to the C-suite to the manufacturing line, everybody deserves to feel valued and trusted and respected. And everybody should have an executive assistant that is like the world's best executive assistant that's always there, a click away, a phone call away. And so that's what we mean. When we talk about the future of work and extracting the friction, it's these personal digital concierges that are available for every employee, ready to engage whenever it is that the employee encounters some friction at work.
I love that. And then on the customer side, is it more towards big enterprise customers like a McDonald's, like a BMW, like a Salesforce? Or who's the typical customer right now?
Yeah, typical PeopleReign customer has at least 5,000 employees. They tend to be geographically distributed. And they tend to use a third-party outsourcer to deliver all or most of what we call L1 or their level 1 employee service. The idea is instead of industry average, it costs about 22 to 25 US dollars every time the phone rings, every time an employee submits a ticket. And with a system of intelligence like PeopleReign, that cost per ticket using autonomous digital labor, that goes down to usually between $3 and $5. So PeopleReign's extracting about 90% of the cost out of every service interaction. And by the way, it's a vastly better experience for the employee because everything happens automatically.
Love that. And then did you, or maybe like take us to the moment where the idea came to you, like how you found the problem. And then, because I always find it interesting if people basically said, okay, I have a ton of enterprise experience, let's find out a problem in the enterprise, or if there's like a core of a problem, core of a solution, and then enterprise or SMB or whatever just happens to be the best fit after like grinding it out and finding that.
Let's roll back the clock to the 90s. Seems like prehistory. But my first job out of college was at Disney. And I was an industrial engineer. And I loved my job until I hated my job. And I realized as I was spending a lot of time, at work, 18, 20-hour days, I loved what I did. I never minded putting in the hours. I was part of a phenomenal team. But I realized that probably, a quarter of my time was spent doing things that didn't involve the mission that I signed up to. When I decided to work for Disney, I cared deeply about the experience of the guest in the parks. And I wanted to spend all of my time at the company focusing on how I could deliver the best guest experience possible. I was designing new rides, new attractions, thinking about how traffic flows through parks. And gosh, I loved that work. But I hated all the things that I had to do that weren't related to delivering a better guest experience. And so when I quote, graduated from Disney and I decided this was a problem worth solving, I brought together a few classmates from undergrad, and we decided we had this outlandish, bold idea. We were kids at the time, but we decided we could change the world of work, because it wasn't just me as an industrial engineer at Disney. It was everyone who's ever had that experience. And that was in the 90s, and that spawned a company called AeroPrize. But here I am. Some of the same team members still support me, and we've shared a similar vision all these years. But the idea is that even while technology has evolved, we still haven't done a great job of using technology to capture and celebrate humanness at work. And I still believe that it's a mission that we will accomplish soon. And I believe that PeopleReign is closer to getting there than anyone else. And it will be a very proud moment when PeopleReign delivers value to its billionth customer. I'm not going to stop, and my team won't stop until we really feel like we've realized that vision that got us all started back in the 90s.
I love that. And that's a number, impacting 1 billion people at work. Tell us more about PeopleReign today. How big are you, either in terms of like clients or employees? Like where's the company at today?
Most of our customers would assume that PeopleReign is a team of thousands of people, because we cast a wide shadow. Not just because we work hard, but because we all embody a deep passion, a deep commitment to the value that we're creating. In fact, we're not thousands of people. We're a fraction of that size. We are venture-backed. We are cash flow positive. We spent the first few years bootstrapping the company to profitability. We did a small round, a seed round. We've raised about $5 million. And we consist of primarily, almost exclusively, a team of AI engineers, data scientists, machine learning experts. Again, it's a team that is passionate about what we do. And we've all been together. Most of us have been together through multiple companies and have experienced life cycle events together, kids and getting married and growing up together. And so as we've seen our customers grow up, and as we've seen the technology grow up, our team is small, but we've grown up together, and us and through our network of partners, I'd say cast a wide shadow that certainly enables us to deliver value to some of the world's most sophisticated organizations. Netflix, Thermo Fisher Scientific, HashiCorp. I've mentioned some others. Lots of video testimonials are on our YouTube site, but we're able to deliver outsized value relative to the size we are because we share this common vision and we're very mission aligned and spend a lot of time learning from our customers. And I believe that that's the way small companies can change the world. An anthropologist named Margaret Mead once said something that I share a lot with my team. Never doubt that small teams can change the world. In fact, that is all that ever has changed the world. And I'd like to think that PeopleReign is one of those teams.
I love that. And then, I mean, you're leading teams, you're leading companies for literally decades now. What do you think is something that you learned recently, meaning like maybe in the last 5 years when you perfected your game as a leader, basically? So what's just advice, for example, you could give me 31, being a founder for like 5-6 years now, so still a newbie looking at like a full career. So what's something that like new leaders do wrong and that where you really basically stepped up, quote unquote, recently?
One of the most frustrating things about the job of being an entrepreneur is that if your business is successful, you suffer from the fact that every day there are 10 constraints on your time or 10 requests for new features from customers or 10 new directions that you could take the company. And the job of the founder, the CEO, the entrepreneur is knowing that every day of those 10 things that you could do, there's probably only one that you should do. And the hard part of being an entrepreneur is having conviction about every day picking the one that's right and being comfortable saying no, closing a lot of doors that potentially open others. And I'd say, it's a constant source of tension that transcendent entrepreneurs always have to wrestle with. It's that ability to pick the right one and then go and not look back, have conviction. Part of what I believe is one of the true traits of leadership is knowing that you're always going to make decisions in an environment filled with uncertainty. But nobody around you, your customers, your investors, your team members have any better information or ability to make the decision than you. But the team is looking to you to make a decision and make it the right decision. And I firmly believe day in and day out that oftentimes it's not that only one of those 10 opportunities is the right one, but it's picking one and making it the right one that becomes the superpower of an entrepreneur. I'd say that's not something necessarily that's changed over the last couple of years, but as I've grown, as I've learned my own style, I've seen other great leaders operate. It's something that I found is so important. It's a super hard skill to cultivate, but when you get it right, it's very powerful in terms of being able to lead teams with confidence.
Do you feel that the harder part about that is the actual, let's call it, skill of picking in uncertainty, or to have the confidence in your own decision making so that you can push with full conviction?
Well said. I like the way you phrase that. I'd say it's more the latter than the former. It's having conviction around the thing that you pick and creating a strategy and mapping the strategy to customer value, knowing that internally you might realize that maybe 5 out of the 10 could work equally well. But the hard part is knowing that you have to say no to 9 to say yes to 1. And that when you have conviction and make the decision and make a decisive decision around the one thing to do, that you don't look back. I think it's that natural tendency to doubt yourself or to think maybe, you try 3 things or 5 things or 7 things or 9 things. And naturally, through experimentation, you'll figure out what one was right. That's actually in itself, that's wrong. Because what you end up doing is the one thing that you could have chosen to do really well, you end up spreading the the time, the energy, the commitment to the one thing across 7 to 9 things, and you end up doing 7 to 9 things in a way that's mediocre. And every great company ends up succeeding because they picked one thing to do better than anyone else in the world. And no company that got big, whether it's Apple or Disney or McDonald's or Walmart or Boeing, at its core, they were always faced with kind of an existential threat sometime early on. A great movie is about Ray Kroc and the founding of McDonald's and his ability as a leader to make some unpopular decisions. Take a small restaurant chain and have a big vision and make some hard decisions and decide what the vision was for that company that ultimately became the McDonald's and the brand that we know today. And of course, Ray Kroc did some things that we don't all agree with, and that, entrepreneurship is not a popularity contest. But that idea that every entrepreneur is faced with the challenge of picking a small number of things to do and staying consistent to one vision and leading teams by being consistent with that vision, that's, I think, the lesson that is transcendent.
Makes a ton of sense. And then if we switch the perspective from the founder operator to the investor, because you meant, first off, you've taken investment, which also means you talk to a ton of investors who invested in your companies, but you also invested in 30 companies as an angel. What do you think are the 2 or 3 things in a technology founder and in a technology startup that are unique among those that succeed in the end compared to the ones that flame out?
What's really important about raising money from outside investors, certainly in a high growth space like high tech, is that the entrepreneur needs to realize that they're embarking on a 10-year journey with their investors. And so what I tell the entrepreneurs who I invest in is you need to make sure that, just as important as it is to find product market fit and founder market fit, there also has to be a similar fit between the founder, the entrepreneur, the CEO, and the investor. Because it's 10 long years that will test the investor and the entrepreneur to your limits. Believe it or not, it is not always up and to the right. It's bumpy, and the right founder investor fit is one where there's a thesis fit. So the investor has to have similar conviction and belief and passion around the opportunity, just like the entrepreneur does. It has to be something more than a financial pursuit in order for that 10-year relationship to be successful. So that's the number one thing is entrepreneurs need to value founder investor fit. And then the second thing is on the investor side, the investor needs to be, this is my personal opinion, but having done this enough times, the investor needs to be as passionate about the investment in the entrepreneur as the entrepreneur is passionate about the business. Because one of the frustrating things about being an investor is I will be hands off. I'm not going to operate the business for the founder. I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader. In the sport of boxing, I'm the manager in the corner, toweling off the boxer, between rounds. But I'm not out there throwing the punches. And so when I put, that boxer out into the ring, I need to be proud that they're well trained, and that because I'm not the one throwing the punches, I trust in them. I believe in their vision. I believe that they're going to be good stewards of my money. And so I need to be prepared as an investor for all the times when they might make some decisions that are different than the ones I would have made, but know that that's okay. And that's okay because unless I'm the one running the business day to day, I don't fully appreciate the tension, the mental anguish, the need to deliver for a team and for customers and all these stakeholders. So I need to be comfortable truly handing the reins over to the entrepreneur in order for me to deliver the amount of value that I can deliver to be the best investor.
I mean, you mentioned that the founder journey can be bumpy. Is there a specific war story from the last 20 years that you can share with us where you were in a very, let's call it like a tricky situation and had to push through?
Nicholas, how about we use the next 6 hours of the podcast when I tell you about all the war stories, all the scars that you could see on my on my whole body. But I'll pick one in the interest of time. So we this is at PeopleReign. This is a couple years ago. We started the company in February of 2020, and I mentioned we spent about the first 12 to 15 months just bootstrapping and building product and working with our early customers. And it was about 6 months into our journey when my head of technology and I delivered the first version of PeopleReign to our first customer. We called them a lighthouse customer at the time because they were kind of the beacon in the night that was helping us, kind of guiding us to land. And we were doing a series of focus groups in the first week or so after we delivered this product. And we were so proud of it. We had put, 12 to 15 months of blood, sweat, and tears into it. And it was very iterative. We'd engage customers along the way. And after about, say maybe 45 minutes of time spent workshopping the product with the customer, we realized we got it wrong. And it was sad, but we learned a lot from that experience. We were actually doing time and motion studies. We were looking at how they used the product and where the eyeballs went, where the hands went, and we realized that there was a particular feature that we had designed. We were embedding this was in 2020, so before like the transformer architecture, before we had true generative AI large language models. It was more classical machine learning to build a set of next best actions, predictions for an agent in a call center to be able to reduce the time it takes them to solve an employee's issue. And we realized that the whole interaction paradigm we really got wrong. There were too many clicks. It was creating too much friction for the call center agent, the user of PeopleReign, to be able to get their job done the right way. And so we listened to every word. We took the feedback. It took us probably 30 days to kind of incorporate the feedback, make the iterations of the product. And I'm proud to say that version, call it 0.2 versus 0.1, was a vast improvement. But if we hadn't made the hard decision and if we hadn't been willing to listen to the customer and learn and be egoless, just be willing to let the customer dictate the right way to design the product, then we would have missed an opportunity to really get it right from 0.1 to 0.2. Certainly not one of our proudest moments, but I'd say looking over the arc of PeopleReign and other companies I've been a part of, that realization, that humility, that ability to recognize when you got something wrong, but know that voice of customer will always be your true north. That was a good, really good lesson for me and the team.
Love that. I think Ego is the Enemy. Is that, I think, a book by Ryan Holiday, I guess, where I just saw the title. Yeah, I mean,
leader. Yeah,
I fully get that. Then we're coming up on time. So where can people find you, the company, and your podcast online?
Certainly. AI and the Future of Work is the podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, it will be there. 285 great episodes. I always love feedback. Any conversations that any of your listeners here that inspire you, please let me know. I am Dan at PeopleReign.io. Please feel free to get in touch with me. The company is obviously PeopleReign, reign like the reign of a king or queen. .io. Our handles, our social handles are as you'd expect at PeopleReign on X. You can also find us on LinkedIn. And again, Nicholas, this truly is our life's work, our passion, and anyone who shares a similar passion for changing or defining or improving the future of work, I'd love to learn from you. Thanks for having me, Nicholas.
And thanks for coming on. And we will make very sure to link everything up below. Thanks, Dan.
My pleasure.
If you like this episode, then you'll love the SaaS Operator, a weekly newsletter brought to you by Early Node. with actionable insights from SaaS experts in the industry delivered right to your inbox every Tuesday for free. Visit earlynote.com to subscribe.